This is American Hope Talk Radio with your host, W.L. Laney. His guests are real people who have overcome real obstacles and are willing to share their experiences with you, bringing hope for the challenges standing in the way of your greater success. Listen while we deal with life as it is today and reveal how hope for the future can bring you more success than you have ever imagined. Now let's get on with today's show.
You're listening to American Hope Talk Radio. I'm your host, W.L. Laney. My guest is Jenenne Mackling, author of Let's Get You Happy First. Jenenne, why is it important to be happy?
Well, I think that's what all of us want. We want to be happy. We want to be happy in our lives, in our jobs, in our careers, with our families. And many people are struggling with what that looks like. We were taught that from early on in our lives, that, that's what we were supposed to be.
Okay.
But we really have.
Does that mean a certain level of income before I'm happy?
Well, that's what we thought. We
Okay.
thought we'd have a certain level of income or a certain family type or a home, all of those accumulated things.
Okay, so why is it that so many millionaires are unhappy?
There you have it. We realized probably way too late that it wasn't the things that was going to make us happy. It was going to be our relationships, the quality of our relationship with ourselves, the quality of our relationship with those around us and those we love.
Okay, so I'm not going to get the kind of happiness that you're talking about by watching reruns of I Love Lucy or The Three Stooges.
No, although I must say, on some days when I want a good laugh, I love Lucy. But no, the happy I'm talking about is going to come from within us.
Okay, so what do you suggest? How can I really find happiness?
I think we have to really look within and define for ourselves what makes us happy. If we take away the house, the cars, the kids, the family, the marriage, and everything, and just kind of set it to the side, and then look within and say, okay, now what really makes me happy? And I think we're going to find, first of all, it's going to be the relationship we have with ourselves. Can we be our own best friends? Can we be more gentle to ourselves and then those that we love?
Okay, now that's going to be pretty tough for some of us.
What, to be gentle to ourselves?
Yes, to look inside and to decide that, hey, I really like this guy.
You said it. It really is. But that's ultimately what keeps us so unhappy. We don't want to look at that. We don't want to look at it and recognize there still are some wonderful things about each and every one of us to accept and love.
Okay, but if you were raised in an abusive home or ran with the wrong crowd or whatever, and you got all that negative input early on, that's deep-seated in your self-conscious. How do you solve that? What do you do to make a change?
I'm very much aware of that. When I was around 8 years old, my mother left me with her son because she had a heart attack. And while I was there, I was sexually violated by him. And so I carried that for many, 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 many years. So even if people did say positive things to me, I couldn't have heard them, but I wasn't hearing a whole lot anyway. But at some point, I decided to define what those experiences meant. And I took back the power of making them mean that I wasn't good enough and that I wasn't worthy.
Okay, well, I was going to ask what is your story and what was the biggest obstacle that you had to overcome? That sounds pretty big.
It was because, I look good, I think, for my age, but, I grew up in the 50s and the 60s, and you didn't go to therapists, you didn't go to coaches. Things happened in the family. It was brushed under the rug. You went back home and you went on with life. And no one ever said it wasn't your fault like they do now. No one said, don't take it to mean that you're a bad person or you're unworthy or you're not good enough. So I took it to mean all those things, from 8 on. And for a good part of my life, it really influenced the decisions I made and the thoughts that I had about myself.
So how did you change?
That's a good question. I think it really was the catalyst when my son came along and I began to really look at what I wanted to offer him and how I wanted to show up in his life. And I began to realize that in order to be the mom that I wanted to be for him, I had to love me and really understand me and value me. And that's when I began to look into that closet and look at it and decide that I get to define what the situation is going to mean.
All right. Now, I firmly believe that we act on what we believe, not what we do.
Yes.
Or know. And that all of these things that are part of our self-conscious those are deep-seated, and in order to change that, there has to be some obvious, specific actions taken. Would you agree with that?
I agree with you 100%.
Okay, so tell me, what were some of the specific steps that you had to take to make that change? Because, Jenenne, this is what our audience needs. We've got thousands, millions of people that are out of work, that have relationships that have fallen apart. We are looking for help, and this program is all about hope and bringing that hope. And so, pardon me while I ask these questions that are, probably a little difficult to even think about now, but I think they're going to help our audience. So, what are some of those steps that you had to take to get into your self-conscious and make those changes?
I appreciate it, and I appreciate that we're serving your audience for them to have some greater freedom. I did go to therapy before my son came, and I wanted to dig up everything that I thought was holding me back. So I went back to that experience. I went back to that time. I went back to that situation and had to sit there with it and really look at what the circumstances were. And I had to really look at how I was feeling like a victim, which was a big, big piece, in my unworthiness. And then I had to look at the story that I was telling myself about it. See, I told myself I was unworthy, I was not good enough, and I was dispensable. But no one else had told me that. No one else had told me that. I told myself that. I decided what that situation meant because no one else told me any different. I'm 8 years old. So when I began to change what I thought about it and what I said to myself and change that story, and it took time, that began to be the string that I pulled to recognize my worth is not based on the circumstances that I'm in. Whether I have a job, whether I have money, whether I have a car, whether I'm married, single, fat, skinny, brown, blue, my worth is based on something deeper than all those things. And that I wasn't the victim, I had been victimized in that situation.
Okay, so you decided to become the victor instead of the victim.
I did, and I put the responsibility where it belonged, which was on him and not on me. And then I claimed the fact that I was 8 years old. So of course I'm still worthy. Of course I'm valuable and I'm significant. And my mother wasn't the kind of mother to say, hey, do you want to go to your brother's, while I'm recovering from my heart attack? I'm in the 50s. My mom's like, you're going there. So they didn't ask me. Yes, it hurt my feelings, but I decided that it meant I wasn't valuable. She didn't mean that. That wasn't what it meant to her. She thought it was the safest place for me to be.
Okay, now, did you get the help that you needed from the therapist, or did you have to do some self-study on your own?
I did the therapist. I did self-study. I read books. I learned how to meditate. I did colon tippings, forgiveness, so I could forgive myself for what I had thought about me. I ended up writing a letter to him at a later point when I was in my 20s, reminding him of what had happened, because it seemed like everybody had forgotten, but I let everybody know I had not forgotten and that it was unacceptable. So I did all of that.
Okay. In your book, one of your books, The Savvy, Smart, and Selfish, okay? I understand the savvy and the smart. Is selfish really a good idea?
Well, I mean it different than the way you and I have probably grown up with it. I'm not saying to anyone to only focus on yourself at the expense of everyone else. I'm asking you to take the time to focus on yourself, particularly the quality of the conversations you're having with yourself, to be more loving, gentle, and kind to yourself, so that then you'll be a better person, a better mother, a better father, a better sister, brother, teacher, fireman, policeman, because you will be having a better conversation internally in relationship with yourself first.
Okay, give me a practical example of how can I be kinder to myself.
Monitor the quality of the conversation you say to yourself, because if you watch it just for 2 days, write down all the things you say to yourself. Women are we're criticizing ourselves, we're criticizing our bodies, we're criticizing our weight, what we did do, what we didn't do, what we should have done. And I hear that men do it too. If we could just stop that chatter in our mind and be our own best friend, that would be one of the ways to be more happy within.
Okay, I've been picking on you long enough. Now it's time you can pick on me. All right? I'm Irish. I've got a warped sense of humor. I love to just talk ugly about myself. how damaging is that, even though I'm doing it in jest?
It's still damaging because we're with us all the time. We hear what we say all the time.
Okay, so even if I know I'm joking.
Well, I guess if you know you're joking, but you could still, if you know you're joking and you can add some truth to it, that you're a wonderful person, you care about America, you care about your audience, you care about providing solutions and strategies for them, and that you're doing something great on the planet, then okay, we'll take your jokes.
Okay, here's an example. People say that my wife and I are an awfully nice or an awful nice couple. And then they point out she's the nice half.
And then what do they say about you?
Well, there's only one half left if you're talking about an awful nice couple. So I must be the awful side. Okay, now, do I really believe that? No, I don't believe that. I'm fairly comfortable with who I am and my commitment to helping people, as you alluded to a moment ago. But can those kinds of conversations, can they take hold in our subconscious and do damage?
I believe they can, because as we repeat things over and over and over, it becomes our truth. And the energy of our thoughts doesn't know that it's a joke. And we're repeating it. We learned our address, repeating it over and over. We learned our phone numbers, repeating it over and over. So repetition ultimately becomes what really is our reality and what we really believe.
Okay, so if I'm going to make a change in my life, if I'm going to be successful in life, if I'm going to be successful in my relationships, if I'm going to be successful in business, then I have to have the right beliefs settled into my subconscious.
Absolutely. You have to, because we believe, our beliefs are what become our reality. And we all, 7 billion of us, have different beliefs. Look in your life and see, do you believe you're not good enough? Do you believe that because you got fired from that job that you still don't have skills? Do you believe that you can't make more money? Do you believe that you're less than someone else or you're not good enough? And if you continue to say that to yourself, then look at what's happening in your life. It becomes your truth.
Okay, so the help that you are offering, the hope that you offer, is that if you can do it after being molested at age 8 without having any support to fix that and change your attitudes about yourself, that you had to do it yourself, does that mean anybody can do it?
I think it opens a possibility, that's for sure, because we have way more support. We have so many coaches. We have coaches coming out of our ears. We have therapists coming out of our ears. We have self-help talk shows, books coming out of our ears. So if we really want to be able to look at it differently, to step into greater possibilities, to have greater success, we certainly have the tools to do it now.
Okay, so what do you mean when you say that we should stop being the star of our worst nightmare?
I was doing this the other day. Something was coming up, and I was telling myself this story. And we're the star in our nightmare because we always tell ourselves the scariest outcome. Whatever the situation is, we go to the worst that could happen. Because it's like we want to prepare ourselves for the worst. So then when something good happens, we're surprised. But what if we prepared ourselves for something to happen the way we'd like for it to happen, or something positive happening?
I like it. I like it. If we prepare for the worst, does that mean that we are automatically a negative person?
Well, you know, they say that energy goes where our thoughts flow. So it's just a matter of if we're directing a boat and we want to go in one direction. We either want everything that's going to support us and be in alignment to go in that direction.
Okay, I'm trying to write this down. You said energy goes where our thoughts flow.
Right. Our body, it's like we're steering our lives through our bodies and our thoughts. So if we want to go in one direction, we're going upstream, or we're going right or left. We don't want thoughts pulling on us, trying to pull us back to go to the opposite of where we say we want to go.
I remember watching my younger half-brother learn how to ride a bicycle. The lawn had a gentle slope down the hill. There was one very small tree. The the circumference of that tree couldn't have been more than 2 inches at its thickest part in the trunk of the tree. Okay, guess where the bicycle went?
To the tree?
Absolutely, absolutely. which I think happens to us throughout our lives when we start focusing on the thing that we don't want to happen.
Very good. Absolutely. Especially, I can see that. You're going and you're going, I don't want to hit the tree. I don't want to hit the tree. I don't want to hit the tree. Well, yeah, you're going to hit the tree because all you're focusing on is the tree.
All right, Jenenne, this has been a lot of fun. We've got about 2 minutes left. What final thought do you want to leave with our audience? How can you help the people who are hurting? They're out of a job. They've got a bad life circumstance of some kind. Somebody has hurt them. What is the hope that you offer?
The hope is that you have the power to define how that experience impacts you. You really do. It happened outside of you. If it was losing your job, if it was an unexpected divorce, if it was the loss of a child or a loved one. I've been through all that. My family, my grandmother, there's no one here but me. Those circumstances come, that's true. But they're outside of us. You have the power to define which way it's going to take you. If it's going to be a stepping stone toward where you still want to go, or if you're going to allow it to slow you down and stop you on your journey. You are that powerful.
Okay, you're listening to American Hope Talk Radio. I'm your host, W.L. Laney. My guest is Jenenne Mackling. You can reach Jenenne at her website, which is www.JenenneMackling.com, or you can call 310-978-7133. Additional information on our show is available by calling our toll-free number, which is 855-WL-Laney. That's 855-955-2639. Jenenne, it's been a delight to have you today. Thank you for being on the show with us, and just keep up the good work.
Thank you, and you keep doing the good work too. Keep providing and instilling that hope.
You have been listening to American Hope Talk Radio with W.L. Laney. Questions and comments can be emailed to wl@wllaney.com. Go to www.wllaney.com for more programs like the one you heard today.